get this stand thing right. See, if I put the thing down here, then y'all gonna see up my nose, which I don't really want y'all to be seeing up my nose. But if I kind of situate it, I'll be trying to get it right, y'all. See, I need like a something that sits up high. Hold on one moment. Un momento. Um, Hold on, y'all. Let me turn y'all this way for a minute. I guess I should have had this all planned out before I did all that. Let me see. Let me bring this over here. Maybe like that. I'm coming. I'm coming. And maybe we will do this. Okay. Now, let's see how this works out. Okay. Okay. That's better. At least I don't. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think that works. Not too close. So anyway, I should have did this before I came on here, but I wasn't thinking like that, y'all. You know, we get spontaneous sometimes and do stuff in the moment. Sometimes I have lipstick on my teeth. You know what? Okay. So anyway, hey y'all, welcome to the chat. Welcome to All Baddies Got a Story. If you are not subscribed yet, please kindly subscribe to the channel. I go live every day, sometimes twice a day. I also have other featured channels on this page that you can check out. If you like it, please subscribe. But I'm on here right now talking about or asking you guys, are you home for the holidays or are you solo dolo? And I wanted to kind of give advice to those who are solo dolo. Why? Because I actually have experience in being solo dolo. So I've spent the past 4 years solo dolo for holidays. That's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Yeah. So, and in some cases, like I would go out, to dinner or whatever, just to have a nice quiet dinner. And in other instances, I mean, I guess I could hang out. Sometimes people do invite me out, but I just choose to not go. There were, like in the beginning, when it first started happening, when I would spend holidays alone, I definitely wasn't in the mood to go out. Definitely didn't want to be around anybody because I was just so upset about not being with my kids and stuff for the holidays. Um, so, and it's a backstory to that. If you want to see the backstory with regards to my kids and all that stuff, you would go to my playlist folder titled Winter and Laker, and that'll give you a backstory of all of that, right? But just to give some advice on solo dolo holidays. Every year, I read a lot of stories about people who get really depressed around the holidays because they feel like they're either not with their family, or maybe a lot of their family has passed on, or family strife, issues that keep you away from each other. And so, Every year, y'all, it never fails. Somebody commits suicide during the holidays. It never fails. I always read stories or hear stories like that, and it's that depressing. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel that I can be of help in that area to people who are solo on the holidays and they may feel depressed to the point where they feel like they want to take their lives, or they feel like nobody loves them, or they feel like abandoned. You know what I'm saying? Um, how I get through it is knowing that holidays are commercial. That's honestly how I get through it, knowing that holidays are commercial. They're made up. Um, the majority of them are not real, right? So I get through it like that. Like, well, okay, so Thanksgiving, we all know, well, a lot of us do know how that came about. Some of us don't, but a lot of us do, right? So we know historically how Thanksgiving came about. So when you think about it, you're just like, oh, I'm not celebrating that shit anyway, right? But at the end of the day, you don't mind getting together with your family and having a nice dinner or something, right? Even then, it's kind of giving energy to that holiday. But, what are you going to do? A lot of people celebrate Thanksgiving. But people don't take it as seriously as they do in the past. Nowadays, when the holidays come around, we go to Halloween, and then everybody just skips straight to Christmas. Even in the stores, like the stores will have stuff out for you to make, like Thanksgiving dinner and stuff like that, but they won't promote it the way they promote Christmas. It's Halloween, they promote the shit out of Halloween, and then it goes straight to Christmas decorations. I don't know if anybody ever notices that anymore. Like it's like every Thanksgiving is an afterthought. Nobody really cares much, but they go and eat. You know what I mean? A lot of times on Thanksgiving, people are hanging out. They're not even home, like with the families, like it used to be. People are just kind of hanging out in the stores, hanging out in Walmart, hanging out. You know what I mean? And then later on, you go home and you eat. It's like an afterthought to people nowadays. But um, you know, yes, I normally spent the holidays with my kids. And growing up, I definitely spent the holidays with my family. Holidays are always big in my family, especially at my grandma's house. So, like, you would have your holidays at home, but then everybody met up at grandma's house, right? That was just like the tradition, the routine. That's just what it was, right? My grandma did Christmas is big. I didn't celebrate Christmas in my home because at the time my dad did, my dad didn't believe in Christmas. And so, kind of like how I just said, it's not like a real holiday, commercial and all that stuff. So, my dad didn't believe in Christmas, and he was like practicing his Muslim faith at the time. So, he was trying to convert the whole family over to being Muslim to Islam, right? And my mom was just not having it. But she let him have us not celebrating Christmas. Like she gave that to him. Like we didn't decorate, we didn't have Christmas trees, we didn't do any of that. My mom still bought me and my brother gifts or whatever, and she would wrap them, but we didn't have Christmas trees, we didn't have Christmas decorations, we just didn't do any of the traditional Christmas things because my dad was staunchly against the holiday because of his Muslim faith at the time. I don't think he's Muslim anymore though. And so, I don't really think it bothered my mom as much because she knew that everybody was going to meet up at my grandma's house anyway. And there was the Christmas tree, and there were the more gifts, and there was all the decorations. And so I experienced it at my grandma's house, just not personally in my own home. Another thing that was cut out from my childhood, like I grew up not eating pork. That was another thing because my dad was practicing his Muslim faith. So I grew up not eating pork. It was never pork in the house. We just, no, no. So like no pork bacon, no pork chops, no pork nothing. So I have, and to this day, like I don't care to eat pork. Like I may eat pepperoni on a pizza, or something like that. But even when it comes to bacon, like I'll have turkey bacon. You know what I mean? Versus pork bacon. And I know that's because of what was instilled in me when I was growing up. So like it would be beef bacon over pork bacon, it would be lamb chops over pork chops, it would, so that's how I grew up. But I had my first fried pork chop when I was 15 years old. My cousin Vet snuck me a fried pork chop, and she wasn't supposed, she said, don't tell your father, she wasn't supposed to. But I had my first fried piece of pork chop at 15 years old, and I was like, wow, that tastes so good. I know I didn't tell my dad though. I didn't tell my dad. But anyway, so but I still don't eat pork like that. So, but anyway, that's just a fun fact. Um, so yeah, holidays were always big in my grandmama's house. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Even when I went to college, I celebrated the holidays going back home. But New Year's was always like set aside for me and my college friends and stuff. So like we would have hot like hotel parties and shit. And I mean, and partay. Do you hear me? Just so I always celebrated the holidays. So for the past 4 years, me not celebrating the holidays, like just being solo dolo, it is a huge change. It definitely is a big transition. But I always feel like everything happens for a reason, and sometimes change is okay. You know what I mean? It gives you perspective on how to see things in another way, right? But the fact that every year I read the same stories about people being depressed during the holidays and killing themselves during the holidays or feeling abandoned during the holidays, and I'm glad that I don't feel like that. I don't feel abandoned. I don't feel depressed. I don't feel miserable. Like I said in the beginning, it was kind of hard because I wasn't around my kids. Um, I think that's really the only thing that really gets me. Not saying that I don't, wouldn't want to be around my family or anything like that, but we've gotten to the point where we're used to not being around each other like that. Um, it's almost like ever since my grandmother's house was my grandma moved away from her house, it kind of like broke the whole family up because it's like my grandma has always been the rock of the family. So it's kind of like when the house went, everybody kind of dissipated into their respective areas, wherever it was, whether it was South Jersey or North Jersey or you know what I mean, or down south or whatever. Everybody kind of dispersed in different places, and so people just didn't come back together like that. And when we tried to, it would usually be like at a cousin's house, but it still wasn't the same. You know what I mean? It still wasn't like at grandma's house. Everybody came to grandma's house. It was just, that's just what it was, right? Um, so that was even a change, a big transition for a lot of us. Um, so, being that, my divorce happened, well, dismantling of my civil union. So being the dismantling of my civil union happened, and going through like the visceral child custody and all of that, and having my kids being hidden from me to the point where I can't see them during the holidays because I don't know where they are, right? So the ex is hiding my kids, and I don't know where my kids are. It was a nasty breakup. I honestly thought it was going to be okay. You know how when people, break up and you think that you're just going to amicably co-parent, you think that you're like going to be friends, right? You like if you started out as friends, you kind of think like, okay, so we could still kind of be friends and co-parent, and you kind of think it'll go that route. But then one person, um, you know, takes it a little too far. You know what I mean? Like really, really far. And it just doesn't go that way. And then things get messed up. And then it's like bridges are burned, and you just don't look at each other the same anymore. Like you literally look at each other like, wow, I knew who you were. And I realized this whole time that I didn't. And it's crazy how that happens, right? So being that my kids are being hidden from me is the reason why I haven't been around my kids in the past 4 years. Yeah, during the holiday season. Well, period, right? And so I haven't been around my kids during the holidays. So that when I think kids, I'm like, fuck the holidays. You know what I mean? Excuse my French. Yeah, I got my dad's mouth, so y'all have to excuse me. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Okay. Um, and so I don't really care as much about holidays as much as I care about my kids, right? Like I want to be around my kids every day, right? So when the holidays come up, it's like it's easy for me to be like screw the holidays because um, I'd rather be around my kids every day, not just during the holidays. Do you know what I mean? So, and like I said, being that the holidays are just commercialized, and when you know the history behind holidays, you kind of just like, you know what I mean? I understand some people don't like to be alone, right? My dad is one of those people. My dad throws a fit every year during the holidays. Like he just throws a rave. Nobody cares. Nobody calls me. Nobody invites me. I mean, he throws a rant and a rave over everything. Birthdays, other holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. He rants and he raves, right? He just, and then eventually somebody calls him and his family and like, hey, come get a plate, Daryl, and then he's just like, oh, Lil called me up and invited me over, or this one called me up and I ended up getting my Thanksgiving, but he just like throws this big fit, right? And it's like he's actually around family, you know what I mean? Like the majority of my family is on the East Coast, right? And I'm on the West Coast. Now I do have a family member out here that's actually not too far away from me, but we don't ever see each other and we barely talk, you know what I mean? What's interesting is my mother told me that the reason why my cousin does not want me around or at her in her space at her apartment or wherever she is because she doesn't want me around her boyfriend or fiance. I'm not sure if they're engaged or married or whatever, because she doesn't want me around her fiance or her boyfriend or whatever. This is what my mother told me. Basically, she was like, oh, she knows that you're this beautiful woman and she's fearful that he's going to start looking at you or that he's going to want you over her or something like that. And I'm just like, how are you just going to say that? Like, how that's even what it is? You know what I mean? And she's like, oh, well, just look at you. My mom always thinks I can have anybody I want. You can have any man you want. You just, that's just what she always say. But of course, I don't believe that shit. But that's what she says. So basically, she's saying that my cousin keeps an arm's length of me, and she's literally like maybe 30 minutes away from me. She keeps an arm's length away from me because she doesn't want me around her man. But honestly, that's not the first time I've encountered that problem. I've encountered that problem with friends. I've encountered that problem with people in general, females in general who may be insecure about a female being around their man. Like I said, I honestly don't know if that is true. You know what I mean? I never brought it up to my cousin because I kind of felt like not weird. I felt strange about it. You know what I mean? I kind of just took my mother's word for it because she just said it like she knew that's what it was. And, she was like, oh, that's what it is. How are you out here? And, you're having the issues that you're having and she won't even invite you to stay at her place or whatever like that. When you had your house and you let her in your home and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And so like, I get that and everything. So that's what made me really believe that what my mom was saying was true. Oh, she just doesn't want me to be around her man or whatever. And I'm not like that, like at all. Like, I know I've had some cousins feel that way about me, like not wanting me to be around their men or wanting me, like, especially, when you got like them down south women, child. Like, I've gone down south with family members and I have seen Southern women look at their men, and if they even so much as crack their neck to look at another chick, or they think that they looking at another chick, poof, like pop, 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 like a crack upside the damn head. And I've seen it happen. What you looking at her? Like, God damn. You know what I mean? And so it would get so bad sometimes where like I would be invited places, and if somebody told me that the place we're going, right? Like one time an ex said that her friend she's an older woman, invited us to her home, like to hang out and play cards and all that stuff, right? And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, she's nice. She was like, yeah, it's her and her boyfriend, right? And she said, sorry, y'all. She said her female friend was an older woman, like in her 50s or something, and she said her boyfriend was like in his 30s or late 30s, early 40s or whatever. And I think we were at the time, we were in our late 20s to early 30s or whatever. And so I was like, well, who all's going to be there? And then it was, oh, just me, you, and then her and her friend or her man or whatever. And as soon as she said that, like, I was just like, oh, I'm not going. I'm not going. And it was like, why you don't want to go? I said, because I don't want no problems. No, but like it'd be like that sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And so because it'd be like that sometimes. Like you just like, I don't want no problems because basically I was briefed on the guy being a cheater, right? The guy always cheating on her, the guy stepping out on her. And I'm like, so the guy steps out on her and she invited us over to hang out with them. I said, oh, hell no. Hell no, you're not gonna put me in that situation. So you know, he's an active cheater. She know he an active cheater, and you bring in new blood in the house. I said, I'm not even gonna put myself in that situation. So I backed out. I didn't go. I said, you go on ahead to your friend's house and have you a good time. I'm gonna stay here at home. And it's not that I didn't want to meet the friend, but I just didn't want to put myself in that situation. So sometimes you think about stuff like that, especially when people make you feel like that. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't want to around my man, you know. So anyway, that's what my mother told me about my cousin. Mine, like I said, my cousin is out here. You know what I mean? She's not even that far away from me. But because my mom told me that's the issue that she has with me of why she doesn't invite me to her space or whatever is the reason why I've been spending my holidays solo dolo. Like I should be able to go to my cousin's space and spend holiday with my cousin, right? And whoever comes with the family, you know, on that side, right? But no, it don't happen like that. And so I did a video on this before where like, you know, sometimes I wouldn't be invited on like special vacations and stuff with certain cousins or you know friends or whatever because of situations like that. And you know it's strange is what it is. It's strange, but it is what it is. People are people. You can't change people. So when you kind of accept things for what it is, right? And you kind of accept the holidays for being commercial or whatever. And I think it helps you to kind of feel better about the situation. And you should be able to just look at it as another day because honestly y'all it is another day, and that day is going to go by just as quickly as it came. Just how this year is flying by, it's about to be a new year. Just like this year is flying by, Thanksgiving is going to be here and it's going to be gone in the blink of an eye. Christmas is going to be here and it's going to be gone in the blink of the eye. And I understand, you know what I mean, as far as the holiday gathering and all of that stuff. But you should know, first of all, love yourself enough to know that you are loved. Okay? And don't think about being abandoned or don't think about people abandoning you. Um, just think about just think about loving yourself. You love yourself and you know that this day is going to be over in a few hours. You know, cook yourself a nice meal or maybe go out and have a meal if that's something that you want to do. Um, but yeah, I was even thinking about entertaining like a meetup or something. I put in my description box, are you in Southern California? Are you solo dolo for the holidays? Do you want to meet up, or you know, are you doing like that's something else, right? I think there's a group or something online called meetups or something like that, and they like um, put events together, or they allow people like an organizer to put an event together where people can meet up and hang out, kind of like-minded people, right? So if you like to sip wine and paint, you know, you can, you know, add your name to the list to go meet up with a group that sips wine and paints, or a book club or something like that. And I'm pretty sure it's something like that online where you can meet up during the holidays if you're solo dolo. I actually think that's a pretty good idea. See, but I'm kind of finicky because I don't even do online dating, y'all, because I don't have time. I don't have time for the people pretending to be something that they're not. I don't have time for the catfishing, okay? Because I just finished watching a couple of episodes of Catfish. People be on here using other people's profiles, stealing identities, and then when you finally see who they look nothing like who you was talking to online. Okay, completely different complexions, completely sometimes a completely different gender. Okay, and you just like, what the hell? What the hell? I don't have time for that. So if I was to do any kind of dating, it would be like a game show, a game show dating. Like I saw online on YouTube how they have y'all seen that thing on YouTube where like it'll be like a lineup of women and they hold those balloons and then the guy will come out, or it'll be a lineup of guys holding a balloon and then the female will come out, and when the person comes out, if you're not interested in the person by something that they say or how they look or whatever, you pop your balloon so that you're automatically out of it. But if you're somewhat interested in what the person is saying or you like the way they look, then you don't pop, you leave your balloon alone, and that lets them know that they can come to you. So I recently saw like an episode of that with this guy, military veteran, clean cut guy, beard. He's really cute. I called him what did I call him? A thick cutie, something like that. So a couple of chicks popped their balloon, a couple of chicks didn't pop their balloon, but yeah, I liked, if I was on that show, I would have gone out on a date with him if he asked me. But it's because I actually see who the person is. The person is, he's talking, he's saying what his game is or whatever. Because they always say when you first meet a person, you meet their representative. You're not really meeting them, right? So Child. So even though he talked a good game, I would still have to fill him out to see if he was really bad about it. See if he was about his game or if he was just, shooting the shit. But that's sad. I would hate not being with my parents on the holidays. Well, look, everybody has different relationships with their parents. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to, I have been around my parents during the holidays for years. I've been around my parents during the holidays for my whole life growing up, right? Even my grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles. It was always a very big affair. That's how I grew up. I didn't grow up like in like an abandonment situation. Like I grew up in a 2-parent household until they divorced, that is. I grew up around my grandma and grandpas and aunts and uncles and cousins, and like my cousins were like basically like my friends. Like you got your friends in school and stuff, but like you hung out with your cousins. Like me and the cousins, like I said, everybody met at grandma's house. All the cousins would get together. My other cousin was the leader of the group, and he would say we about to go on a mission, and he would lead all of the cousins like in a pack, and we would go on and then just explore, around the house and in the areas, and we would just be walking in a line like a damn military unit. It was so funny. But he said we're gonna go on a mission, and that's what we be doing. We went on a mission, discovering things and walking through tunnels, and he was taking us in places he wasn't supposed to take us. But the parents didn't care because they felt like the older cousins had the little cousins, so we was good. And back then you just didn't worry about stuff like that. It was like safe, you know what I mean? The neighbors looked out, like in our neighborhood, the neighbors looked out for everybody. It was like that, like Papa Joe and Mama Lo was on the left side, and then we had our West Indian family, Caribbean family on the right side, and then we was in the middle, and then across the street we had other. So we like had a whole community on one street where everybody looked out for each other. Everyone looked out for each other's kids. It just wasn't like that. I grew up very community oriented, very family oriented. And then sometimes, things happen, right? Things happen in your family, things happen with your parents, things happen, right? And that can either tear you apart, or it can affect the relationship, or I should say affect the trust within the relationship, right? So And then you kind of have to learn how to work through that, which it's kind of hard to work through that if people are in denial about the things that they do and the things that they say, right? So if a person is constantly in denial about what they've done and they don't want to own up to it, they don't want to fess up to it, they don't want to admit it, they want to, um, you know, keep this facade up as if everything is okay, then it's going to remain in the way that it is, right? It's like how, I know a lot of family members feel that time heals all wounds. I don't believe that. I actually did a video on that. And I think I titled it, Time Doesn't Heal All Wounds. Somebody lied, or they lied. You know what I mean? Because I definitely don't believe that. I feel that over time you can feel better, you know what I mean? But it won't necessarily heal the wound because it was never properly healed, right? So, like for instance, I'll use the example of the ex's parents, right? Who I haven't seen since 2019, who are now my former in-laws. I haven't seen them since 2019. I haven't seen them since February 22nd, 2019, which is the day they poisoned my daughter, right? And so in my eyes, I feel like they hide from me. And I've called, emailed, tried to reach out to them, try to, you know what I mean? Especially when they did that with my daughter, right? It was just a hard, cold shutdown, no answering of calls, no answering of emails, no, like nothing, right? It's like they just completely hid from me. And what I honestly think it is that they can't face me. They can't face me because they know what they did to my child, and they can't face me because they don't know what to say about it. You know what I mean? Like they don't. That's honestly what I feel. Like they didn't even show up in court when it came time for them to come to court about the situation. They didn't even show up in court, right? And I didn't have an attorney, so I couldn't subpoena, or I didn't know enough to subpoena, right? Because if I would have known enough, I would have had them subpoenaed to make them come to court, right? But I didn't have an attorney anymore for that matter. So anyway, so it's kind of like that, right? That's the example that I'm using. I hate talking about that because, but anyway, that's the example that I'm using about, people feeling like time heals all wounds. I can honestly say that I'm healed enough to the point where I can talk about it and I don't cry. So I think that's like huge strides, because I used to cry. There was a point where I used to be like, I was so disorientated over it, because I had never experienced anything like that in my life. So, it had me, I had to go to therapy to kind of understand what was happening to my person, because I wasn't understanding. I couldn't concentrate on work, and I'm a workaholic. So it's just like, if I can't concentrate on work and that's what I do, that's like my thing, something is wrong. Something is wrong. So I knew I had to go talk to somebody, and so that's what I did. And then that's when the therapist said, "Oh, you're disorientated. Like it left you, what happened to your daughter, what the grandmother did to your daughter, it left you completely disorientated. So it like traumatized you." And so that's what I found out what it was, or whatever. And so, I definitely worry about my kids all the time, because I kind of feel like, if a person who claims to be a grandparent, they're not biological, or anything like that, like biological blood. If a person who claims to be a grandparent of my child can poison them, and they had just turned 2 years old, they can do worse, much worse, right? So, like if your brain as an adult, as somebody who's in like an elder, if your brain can take you to the point of hurting an innocent child that did nothing to you, absolutely nothing to you, that's a mental condition. That's a mental issue, because I don't understand. I never understand how a person can hurt an innocent baby that is just completely innocent. Do you know what I'm saying? Other than the fact that the only logical thing that makes sense is that that person has a mental problem, a seriously mental problem, to do something like that. And so, like I said, I've healed myself in that aspect where I don't cry when I talk about it anymore. But I wouldn't say that time has healed all wounds, because I still wouldn't fuck with them like that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you did what you did to my child. You never apologized for it. You just ran. You ran and you hid. And all the ex mother-in-law kept saying to her daughters and everybody else around her is, they'll just give it time. You know, don't fan the flames, is the term she used. Don't just keep fanning the flames. Let the flames die down. Because in her eyes, she feels like time heals all wounds. Just let it blow over and she'll be okay. But to see, the thing is they probably could let it blow over because they're probably used to shit like that in their family. I'm not used to shit like that in my family. Do you know what I mean? So when you're not used to somebody just poisoning kids, innocent kids, if you're not used to somebody, do you know what I'm saying? Doing stuff like that, it's going to traumatize you. And as a parent, you're not going to easily let something like that go. You're going to keep fighting, and you're going to keep fighting, and you're going to keep fighting, which is what I do. I file motions to the court every 3 months, because if you don't do it every 3 months, then it goes out of the system, or so they say it goes out of the system. But I always see a long line of paperwork. I have it. I have copies, all my copies, right? So, you know, I file motions every 3 months, you know, and I'm constantly trying to find my kids. And the reason why I speak out about it, and the reason why I post evidence online about it, and the reason why I make videos about it is because that's my way. And I even have a GoFundMe page, right? The reason why I do that is to get it, to keep getting it out into the atmosphere, to make sure that it's not dying down, to make sure that it's staying in rotation, trying to get help, trying to get somebody to hear, to maybe to help. You know what I mean? To say, oh, you know, let me look into this, or you know, somebody who has credentials, or somebody who's equipped to, because I'm not in a financially great position to be able to hire an attorney to look further into it, right? Which is why I have a GoFundMe page, to be able to raise money, to be able to hire an attorney to keep probing, right? To do more probing than I can do, right? Because I don't have the credentials for it. But so yeah, you know, like I said, in that aspect, no, time doesn't heal all wounds. You can, in my eyes, you can't just sweep that shit under the rug and think you can just walk away. You know, and I'm pretty sure they might be annoyed at the fact that I keep bringing it up. I don't know what's going on with my kids, whose hands they're in, what's going on, what I don't know. And the fact, like I said, the fact that this ex-mother-in-law already poisoned my 2-year-old daughter. Can you just imagine what could be happening to my kids? So I keep my sanity by continuing to fight for my kids. I keep my sanity by creating art. I keep my sanity by doing like helpful podcasts and just creating content that people can relate to, because they might be in the same situation as me, and maybe they don't know how to get around the situation, and maybe they don't know how to figure some things out. You know, some people will just kind of go crazy. Like, I've had actual cousins say to me, like, we don't know how you're not like balled up in a corner of a room crying your eyes out, you know, and never coming out of your space. I've had cousins say, if I were you in your position, I would literally be in a corner of a room, of a dark room, and I would never come out. I would just, basically they're saying they would just succumb to the pain, and they would succumb to the grief, and they would succumb, you know, they would be the victim, basically, is what they're saying. They would be the victim. And even though I am a victim, even though my kids are victims, I'm not looking at myself like that, because if I were to succumb to my grief and succumb to the pain and the hurt and all of that in the way that they described that they would, I would be no good to myself and I would be no good to my kids. What good is it for me to ball up in a corner in a dark room and never come out? How is that going to help my kids? How is that going to help me find my kids? How is that going to help me be there for my kids? How is that going to help me try to piece all of this together in order to get my kids back, find them and get them back, right? How? The ex literally went like, I don't know. I don't know. You know? And so, no. I think that's where the mental strength comes in. That's where the self-love comes in. That's where loving your kids more than yourself comes in. I think, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you give up on yourself, that's basically saying that you give up on your kids. And I'm not saying that people's grief isn't valid and their pain isn't valid. Like, I totally get it. Like, I felt deep pain before. I still feel pain, right? But my pain previously has been a lot deeper, right? But I've learned to get a hold on that, right? And it was a lot of different things that I went through in order to be able to do that. And I speak like vividly about it in my podcast, right? And I always tell people doing my podcast helped to heal me. And that's why I made it public, because I realized that the more I was doing my podcast, the more it was healing me. And so I said, well, wow, if I'm healing myself through this, then people who could be going through the same situation as me, people who can relate to me, they probably would be able to get healed from this too. And I always tell people I don't like being too vulnerable, in certain situations, but I just felt like it could help people. And for a long time, that's just what I did. And I always tell people I have almost 300 episodes of raw realness on my podcast. It's just about life lessons. It's about red flags in certain situations with spouses, with friends, with in-laws, with all that stuff. It's just breaking down a lot of different things on the podcast. That is something that can help to heal people. And so I always tell people to go visit the pod. It's a link in my profile. Click on it, subscribe to it, and just listen in the bathtub, listen in the car, listen at work if you don't have a headset on, listen in your spare time, right? And you get a lot of really good lessons from the messages. Like I said, it healed me. People wonder, how I am the way I am, because they're like, oh my God, you've been through so much and people have done so much to you and you did, but like I said, I don't make myself out to be the victim, because once you see how people are, you accept them for who they are. It took me a minute to understand that, right? It took me a minute to understand that you can't change people, only people can change people. It took me a minute to understand that you have to accept people for who they are. It doesn't mean that you have to be around them. It doesn't mean that you have to love them even. It doesn't mean that you have to keep them in your inner circle. It just means that you see them, right? Okay, so you're like that. Okay, so I know you're not for me. A minute. I don't know why I be feeling something. I be feeling like something is caking up on the side of my. I be thinking I be having lipstick on my teeth, y'all. Anyway, I do sometimes though. But anyway, so time does lessen the pain, but you will never forget everything that's happened, right? Years ago, if the in-laws were standing in front of me, I probably would want to like take a cast iron skillet and like knock somebody's block off. Like seriously, like you know, take both my hands and put it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when it comes to your kids, when it comes to somebody's hurting your kids in that way, and they act like they don't give a damn about it, that mama bear kicks in, right? Or that papa bear kicks in, and you just want to put both of your hands around a motherfucker's throat and squeeze, right? I find it interesting that they hide from me, the in-laws, the ex-in-laws. I find that ever since that day, y'all, ever since the day they poisoned my daughter, I have not seen them, heard from them. They never returned a call. They never returned an email. Ever since February 22nd, 2019, and never showed up in court. All of that reeks of guilt. Why are you hiding? But you think you have the right to be around my kids? You think you have the right to be around my kids so that you can continue to hurt them? And then I publicly speak out about all the bullshit, right? So because I'm publicly speaking out about all the bullshit that's been done to my kids, that's been done to me, are you going to use your anger against me and try to hurt my kids or do something to my kids? You already poisoned my kids without us even having beef like that. So God only knows what they could have been doing or are doing to my kids now. I have every right to feel the way I feel. I have every right. And the ex allowed it to happen because of the breakup. And that's just facts. I speak facts. And I have a lot of factual evidence on this page. All you have to do is go to the community tab, scroll down, and you'll see it right there in your face. Or you can go on the other side and go to the video part and check out the videos, which still has the evidence. I'm just speaking words to it. You know what I mean? And I will continue to post more evidence. Like I said, sometimes I have to take a step back from it, because when you're fully in it, it's like you're reliving it again, and it can become it's always painful, right? It's always painful. It's your babies, so it's always going to be painful. So sometimes you have to take a minute and step back and like redirect your focus somewhere else to take your mind away from it, right? And so that's what I do. But I plan on uploading more evidence, and I plan on putting more of the story to it. I'm going to continue speaking out about it, and I'm going to continue filing motions every 3 months. I'm going to continue with the GoFundMe page until I'm able to get somebody who is credible to be able to help me in this situation. And that's just period. It is never going to go away, ever. Brenda Flim, Paul Flim, Ashley Flim, Stephanie Flim James, Janae Brumby, Ellen Flowers, and whoever else is a part of this shit. Whoever else is a part of it, I will never stop. Do you hear me? Those are my biological babies. I will never stop fighting for my kids. And they better be alive and well. They better be alive and well, because I don't trust any of you. You abuse kids. You're abusive. Need some help. Okay? Anyway, I digress. Holidaying without family, holidaying without friends. Like I said, but my life, I'm an East Coaster, right? So like a lot of my old college friends are on the East Coast. The majority of my family is on the East Coast. You know, I have family out here, but because of what my mom said is the reason why we're not around each other, which I think is absolutely stupid. And I almost don't believe it, because I was around my cousin before. You know what I mean? I was around my cousin and I was around her spouse before, I think a couple times or something, or whatever, when I came out to visit for my birthday, because at the time I was living in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I came out. I had just separated from the ex or whatever, and I came out to visit my cousin out here. And we hung out at their space or whatever. Like it was nothing, you know what I'm saying? And then something happened, but whatever happened that broke out between my cousin and her spouse or whatever, that wasn't too great. My mom told me, don't go back, don't go back. And I'm like, but my cousin is, I'm like, but she's telling me to come back, to help her. She's telling me to come back to the house. And my mother was like, don't go, don't go, just go to the hotel, go to the hotel. And I was like, no, but my cousin's saying that she need me, and that, her spouse just got beat up in the park or something, and she's telling me to come back, and I'm crying and shit, because I'm like, my cousin, I love my family, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, she's calling me, telling me to come back, and I'm gonna go. And my mom's like, no, don't go. Go back to your hotel room and continue enjoying your birthday. And when your birthday is over, you take your ass back to Las Vegas. And I was like, well, damn. And a lot of us, we listen to our parents, right? Because we feel like our parents know better than us, right? They're older, they're supposed to be wiser. And so we feel like they know best, right? That's what we feel. Just like when my mom was like, oh, kick her out your house. And, my mom always told me to kick people out my house, and and so you just, she don't want you around because she afraid you're gonna, her man gonna want you. And I had already been around her and her man, so and everything was fine as far as I could see. You know what I'm saying? My mom was like, oh no, well, that. So when you listen, child. Sometimes I think parents can mess things up between cousins, and sometimes I think parents can make relationships kind of rocky and throw things off. And then they're getting one story and you're getting another story, and you really don't really know, but you feel you're supposed to listen to your parent because you feel like your parent is supposed to know. But what I've discovered is, my mom don't always know, just like a lot of parents don't always know, right? A lot of parents don't always know the right thing for you, right? Whether it be spouse, whether it be family, whether it be job. And a lot of times, if your parents haven't been in the positions that you have been in or are heading in, sometimes, you can listen to them, but it don't necessarily mean that you got to go with what they say, like for sure, because a lot of times they don't know. And sometimes you have parents that are straight up jealous, yo. You have, you know what I'm saying? Your parent can be jealous of you, envious of you, or your parent. I'm saying, so I've learned that I should not always listen to my mom. I should not always listen to my dad. Sometimes parents just don't always know. Just like when my mom told me, stay off of social media, stay off of social media. That was a red flag for me. And I said, ding, 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 ding. Let me be on social media. Matter of fact, let me be on live. Matter of fact, let me be on live every day. Every day, let me be on live. Because for some reason, Jackie don't want me to be on social media. And I don't understand, why would you tell me to stay off social media when all I have been is on social media? For years. All you got to do is go to my links in my profile, and you'll see my Honey Child's candles, Instagram. You'll see my Honey Child's Cafe, Instagram. You'll see my TikTok. And these are social media platforms that I've had for years now, right? Because I've been building my businesses for years, right? So and she's never told me before to stay off of social media. Never. She never before told me to stay off of social media as I'm building my businesses, building my brand, doing my marketing, She's never once said that before. But all of a sudden, just a few weeks ago, stay off of social media. Well, damn. The hell going on here? You know what I mean? And because I know that she hasn't necessarily had my best interest at heart, I took that as a red flag. That's one of the main reasons why I'm on social media a lot, because my mother told me not to be. And I already know why, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, everything is done with purpose. Everything is done with intent. everything. I'm not doing anything for malice reasons or anything like that. But when you kind of notice something is off, when you notice something is off, then you will make the proper adjustments. So I just heard something outside, either sounded like a firecracker or it sounded like a damn shot or something. I guess that's, I don't know if that's a, it ain't gonna stop me from talking though. But anyway, let me see. Oh, hope you have a good day too. Well, I don't know. Maybe they just randomly recommend videos to people or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But hopefully my YouTube page is well, whatever. We won't go into that. Anyway, so um my question to you guys is, are you holidaying with family or are you flying solo dolo? Because a lot of people do that. I was just on here giving advice on how to get through holidays by yourself, because I noticed that every year I always read stories and hear about stories where people are, depressed or miserable, or sometimes they even kill themselves because they're depressed over being alone during the holidays. Um, but what's interesting? I wonder if after the holidays pass, do they feel better? Like, do they get better after the holidays pass? Is it just the holidays specifically that keeps people, depressed? You know what I mean? I don't know why, but Phyllis Hyman just popped in my head. She was an amazing singer, and she allegedly committed suicide. Allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly because we really don't know if that's how it went down. Because nowadays in the industry, you just never know, child. But allegedly, Phyllis Hyman committed suicide, and it was because the story goes is because she was lonely. She was lonely, and as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, one of her songs was "I Can't Stand This Living All Alone," and she sang the hell out of that song. I can't stand this living all alone. Mm. And she is a beautiful woman, talented, gifted. You know, I don't know. I don't know what the problem was, child. But I don't remember what year she died, but I know when I heard about the story and how everything happened, I just felt so bad for her. And I'm like, damn, she was lonely. Because allegedly, the story is she committed suicide because she was alone. She was lonely. And like I said, I always hear stories like that every year when it comes to the holidays. And it's just real sad. It's just sad. So I felt like I could come on here, offer some peace to some folks. I feel like I could come on here and give my perspective on, holiday and solo dolo, and maybe offering a meetup or something. Like, sometimes people who are in similar situations, they like to meet up, hang out, see what's good. Um, I'm not into online dating and stuff like that, and I am a very cautious person, let me tell you. So yeah, I probably would do. I'll let you guys know if I do like a meetup, like for holidays, like maybe for Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or something like that. What I'll do is I'll just do it through like a meetup app or something. Because I know it's something called Meetup. I know it is. I just have to find it. So if I decide to do it, I'll just do it through there. And then I'll just like post the link and all the information, where we can meet up and hang out or whatever, if you are interested in meeting up and hanging out during the holidays. So maybe I'll do it. I probably won't do it for Thanksgiving because it's kind of too soon. So maybe I'll, do it for Christmas or New Year's. I guess it depends because, I know things can change. Things can change. So, we'll see. we'll see. And then I'll probably pick like a place or something to meet up at. Maybe something fun. Not necessarily like a club or anything, but maybe something like what we can like something artsy. Something it's gonna probably be artsy. But yeah. So if I definitely decide to do it, I will post that information along with the link online, and then we can meet up, hang out, sip some cocktails, chat about life, and chat about how we ended up in the situations that we are in and things like that. So yeah, I think that would be kind of cool. Hmm. I don't even know what made me think about that, but I just think it would be kind of cool. I think that's a good, great way to meet people and network and stuff. So you never know. You never know. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. But so I'm gonna get off. I've been here. I don't really like to go too far over an hour because sometimes it takes a long time to upload. But thank y'all for being here. I hope that I could offer, um, or I hope I did offer some good advice from my perspective on holiday and solo dolo. Um, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to All Baddies Got a Story. And also check out my other featured channels at That Girl Shanda, which is my artistry page. It has my original musical compositions and my original spoken word. All the narration is my voice. All of the singing is my voice. The videos is me. So if you vibe with it, subscribe to the channel. And also check out my other featured channels, as well as subscribe to my podcast. The link is in the profile. And I also have a few episodes from my podcast in my podcast playlist. So you can check it out. If you vibe with it, go ahead and subscribe. And I will speak to you guys in the next live. I don't think I'm going to come back on here later on tonight, but I will definitely speak to you mañana. Okay? So thanks for hanging out, y'all. Wait a minute.